But speaking of funny events, right? So here's something I wanted to talk about. So Star Wars. Recently, there was a Star Wars celebration, right? There was many stupid things said throughout the entire weekend, but there was a couple of things in particular that were especially stupid. And I just wanted to play them on here just to get you fellas' ideas. I mean, doesn't matter if you're massively into it or not, just a basic understanding of Star Wars, most people would know these things, right? So I'm just going to... Hang on, what's RSG saying here? Let me just read that.
I already read that.
She took the video down straight away. Oh, okay. Oh, you recorded it? Oh, okay. Okay. We need to talk.
You have to show us at Blackpool.
Yeah. Right, so, yes, I'm just going to show these. Right, so first one's a very short clip, but, I mean, this guy is a true caliber of idiot, right? Here we go.
I mean, the best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil.
Did you catch that? Because it cuts off a little bit at the end.
That's what the whole movie's about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The best parts of Star Wars is it's not about good and evil.
To be fair, like I would totally be on the. I'd be well an Imperial sort of. I want to destroy that rebel scum, me, like totally.
Yeah, but he's saying that apparently there's no good or evil. Like, I mean, like you say, that's the whole point of it, right?
Well, yeah. It does not see it. It's about against good against evil.
Is it
not described as that?
Hang on, you're all talking at the same time. What was that?
So is he being serious?
Yeah, that's one of the actors for the new series, is it series or film? Series. That's going to be called The Acolyte that's coming out, right? Which basically leads from a rubbish book series they brought out called The High Republic. It comes from that into The Phantom Menace. So there's another bit here I'm going to play in. Now, this is the creator. Her name's Leslie Headland. Not a very nice person. She was involved with... she was PA to... Was it Weinstein? Was it Weinstein?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? So, yeah. So, have a listen to this rubbish that she says. This is just over a minute, so this was a bit longer.
Just astonishing. I think that one of the things that would be helpful to kind of put in perspective is that we're at the end of that era and moving more into George's era of the Phantom Menace. So my question became, as a fan, when I initially pitched the show to Kathleen, which was an original idea with new characters and not connecting it to Skywalker Saga or any of the existing characters in the High Republic. What I wanted to introduce the fans to the concept too was, how do you reconcile the Jedi at the height of their power, the galaxy at the height of this age of enlightenment and peace, and who George says they become at the top of the Phantom Menace. And to me, that meant, why don't you tell a story about Star Wars from the perspective of the villains, of the bad guys? And if those bad guys are outnumbered at this point, then that means that you get this opportunity to see how the Jedi very subtly go from who they were in the High Republic and the Old Republic and who they became by the time you're watching episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Right, so I'm going to point out the lunacy of that straight away, right? So she believes that her original idea, we're going to see it from the point of view of the bad guy. Did you watch the prequels? I mean, that is literally the story of Darth Vader. How he goes from a cute little boy to a Jedi.
Well, no, the guys said there weren't any bad guys.
Well, that's the point, isn't it, right? This is it. So you had the actor say that, right, at the first interview, and then the creator says that a little bit later. So they've contradicted each other anyway. I'm glad you noticed that, because that was going to be my next point. But also the fact that, it's an original idea. We thought you needed to see it from the bad guy. Well, yeah, that happened in the prequels. So it's not an original idea. You're just nicking it, right? You know? And then it was, she went on a bit further, but I didn't want to record it all because it would have made the clip too long. But there was a part where she also said about, she wanted to point out the faults of the Jedi. Well, the whole thing with the prequels was pointing out the faults of the Jedi. This is how Palpatine became the Emperor and how Anakin became Vader. So really what she's done is just copy the prequel films that are already out. So I mean, that was just a couple of snippets of many stupid things that were said during Star Wars Celebration. But I just wanted to bring them on here because I thought that was hilarious when I saw them. And I just wanted to get you guys.
It sounds like wash and repeat, really.
Yes.
It's just the same.
Redundant.
You're getting flooded now with.
Yes.
You know, you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know, it just, probably spoils it a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And it's lost its magic, hasn't it, for sure? Yeah, definitely. I just remember as a child watching Star Wars over and over and over again. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just the nuts, you know. And to be honest, now I find it hard to know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Because there's just so much being thrown at you. Do you know what I mean? I haven't watched it. I haven't watched any of the latest Mandalorian.
Sib.
I've watched it. You're not missing much, believe me.
There's some other stuff that came out recently that I haven't watched. You know,
it's just everything at the moment. It's just all the same. It's like, you know that male character you liked. Well, guess what? We're going to have a female version. It's much better. And then it literally, even with the latest season of Mandalorian, they've even done it with that. You know that male character that you all like? Well, he's no good. This woman one, she's better. Like, honestly, it's just the same thing over and over. And, Jamie's hitting the nail on the head here. Wipe out Kathleen Kennedy. Yes, feminist, so says it all. She's the president of Lucasfilm, so you can see where this is all coming from. And then, I get very far left woke vibes from these vids. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All agendas, and unfortunately, because of what they're doing, it's killing Lucasfilm, it's killing Star Wars, it's killing Disney. Because Marvel's doing the same thing as well; they're doing it now as well. And unfortunately, agendas don't sell films. And let's be honest, a big core audience that watch Star Wars are male, whether that's little boys or adults that grew up with it. Predominantly, it's male. So why are you trying to basically make the men look ridiculous in these films, series, whatever, and pushing the women up? Like, I don't get it. And not only that, the thing that makes the money for Star Wars always has been the merchandise, right? But if you're making the male characters look rubbish, the boys, are not going to want them action figures. and this is what you're seeing. If you go into these shops now, like Smith's, or Entertainer, you'll notice there's loads of reduced Star Wars figures. No kids buying them. They don't want them. Why would you want them? This is where Lucas was smart. He knew that the way to make money was merchandising, and he did it very well. Unfortunately, Disney hasn't worked out that if you kill off the fans, you won't make the money from the merchandising, and as a result, they're hemorrhaging money everywhere. So Marvel's the same now. They're doing it too. If you look at the latest wave of Marvel, it's all been replaced with female versions. So, that I wouldn't actually have a problem with if they wasn't doing it with every single thing. And if they wasn't making the male characters look stupid in order to push the female agenda, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, mate. I think it's just too much of it as well, though. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel like they're like going now, well, we've got to make something up, or I don't care if it's good or crap, we need to get something out to sell. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no...
Just watch the old ones.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I rather would. It was a lot fucking easier, wasn't it?
No wonder all the retro stuff's going up
That's
in price.
the order.
Well, the only good Star Wars film that they've actually released was Rogue One, and that was set in the original trilogy, wasn't it? That's why that worked. Yeah,
I've got to admit, I haven't liked any Star Wars since the original trilogy, so I don't even know.
Well, you should try Rogue One. Rogue One's definitely
good. Yeah. I'm trying to think, there was no one.
Rogue One's definitely worth watching.
Rogue One was good because it was actually written by a fan of the original Star Wars. So that's
it's funny because I was nuts on Star Wars as a kid, but I've not really ever had the drive to sort of rewatch it as an adult. I don't know why.
Just watch. Yeah, Rogue One's basically about how they get the blueprints for the
Death Star, isn't it?
The Death Star. It's it's a separate entity to what's going on. So, and it feels
like the trilogy. Is that Rogue One?
Like it feels like an 80s movie almost.
It's basically where it ends. It leads straight into A New Hope.
Which one came after the sort of trilogy? Which was the first of a sort of new wave? Was that Rogue One?
No, episode 1 was the first one.
I might have seen some of that. I think I walked out halfway through. I didn't like it.
With Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, that's it. No, I didn't like it.
we call him Jar Jar Stinks in the house.
Yeah.
No, see,
I think I gave up halfway through that one.
I use that name for J.J. Abrams. I call him Jar Jar Abrams. And then you got Rian Johnson that did The Last Jedi, which killed Star Wars. So I call him Ruin Johnson. So I've got little names for them all, like, you know, because they're idiots. But anyway, well, what I would say though is that if you watch the sequel trilogy, you'd actually realise how much better the prequels are, because a lot of people have got a lot more respect for the prequels now they've seen the sequel trilogy. I can tell you, they really have. You know, there was
prequels as in set before the ones in the 70s or whenever they were. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So a lot of people that like the original trilogy didn't like the prequels, but then after watching the sequel trilogy, they were like, actually, the prequels weren't that bad. You know, they've changed their minds, you know.
When you've seen things can be worse.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, like, Star Wars literally is this these days.
Woke trash.
You notice that's all their little faces there. You've got Kathleen Kennedy, Ruin Johnson, you've got Jar Jar.
You love them goggly eyes, don't you?
Yeah. And then you've got Alex Kurtzman. He's the one that's doing the current Star Trek.
Woke trash.
That's him on the right there.